Welcome to How to Bling Your Blog and Feed That Hog. I'm Sue Ann with Right Mix for Business, and I also do a little thing called the Mix, Sizzle, and Shake Your Business podcast, in case you're not aware, talking everything business and content since 2017. And today, most importantly, you're here for what is probably the most important project I've done digitally, and that is How to Bling Your Blog and Feed That Hog, where you're going to join me on a blog transformation, a blog learning journey on the blog transformation highway. And we're going to take your blog all the way to Blog Hog Heaven. Because in Blog Hog Heaven, guess what? You have attention of your blog, awareness of your blog, and most importantly, you're getting business and clients through your blog and how you maintain and operate and use your business blog as your content hub, your activity center, your red carpet in to your digital presence through your website. And so your blog is a huge, important digital asset and a content asset. It's the content hub. It's often the cornerstone of your content marketing program if it's done right. So we want to take your business blog to a higher place where you'll attract people, you'll gain awareness, and most importantly, you'll gain business and clients. And of course, I'm not going to promise you that in just one felt swoop or one felt solution, but we're going to look really closely at the study of blogging, and we're going to look at best practices, and we're going to look at benchmarks, and we're going to look at examples of things that are going right for different people in different types of blogging situations. For example, are you an affiliate marketer? Are you a writer who has a blog for your blogging as a service? Or are you a business that is using your blog as your content hub and your activity center, inviting guests in to meet you, to get to know you, and to help them, to be helpful to them, to serve your customers and clients and prospective customers and clients, to be informational, entertaining, and offer those how-tos and really help people, not only help them, but help them to understand that you're the best person to do what it is that you do through your blog content. And so we're going to look at this really carefully. And again, I'm not promising a cookie cutter answer to your blog because I don't believe there is one. I work with so many blogs on their content marketing and on their blog editorial plans and things like that, and not any of them operate with the same blueprint. None of them. So there's best practices, there's benchmarks, but there's also examples, ideas, and there's you. There's you bringing you and your uniqueness into it so that you can make your blog property do what it needs to do to gain you the right people to be your customers in your business. So I hope to give you everything that I've learned along the way, and I have some other exciting things to share with you in the course. I have some special guests coming into the course. Gord Eisman, as I announced when I did this live last week, will be coming in to teach video for blogging, which I think is really going to be helpful for you because there's so many ways that you can use video to market your blog, whether it be through social media, like clips, or whether it be to start doing some things on YouTube, or whether you're doing video like I'm doing now for a course or for a presentation or training. So I think there's so many things he can help us with. I know that video for me is one of my struggles. In fact, I didn't make a mistake, and I remembered to record the live session that was the real kickoff, the actual live kickoff. But guess what? I find I have really serious presentation tics, like I talked about in the writing video about people having writing tics. I couldn't even edit out all the So I'm coming back to you now, doing this recording because I want to give you this kickoff information. I want to welcome you and thank you for being here with How to Bling Your Blog and Feed That Hog, being part of it and helping this community grow and take off. I'm very passionate about blogging. I'm very passionate and about helping people. I've helped a lot of people along the way. A lot of people have helped me, and that's good news for you because, as I said, I have some special guests who I'll be bringing on for you to learn different areas and different expertise outside of my own. and we'll all learn together. We want to share ideas. One of the things that I did introduce, if you've gone into the beginning of the course, is that we have a manifesto of respect everyone. And I think if that is in place, we should be able to all learn and grow together, and to make sure that your blog is a hubba bubba content hub that gains you business and clients. So this isn't about, although I want it to be fun and I want to keep, in fact, I have some challenges coming up, which you have a chance, as I announced in the live, you have a chance of winning an online course for headline writing with my friend Henneke Dustermott, Henneke from Enchanting Marketing, headline writing course, which would be bomb diggity. I took the course, so that's one opportunity through the Blog Transformation Highway. When we have a challenge, you could win. So there's a lot going on. I'm not going to take up a ton of time. I'm trying to record this or re-record this now to give you the skinny on what to expect for what's coming up first. So with that, I'm going to go to the presentation and introduce you to what we're going to first be looking at as we enter the Blog Transformation Highway and start to bling your blog and feed that hog so that you can have a better, stronger business blog. So here we go. So let's get right to it. How to bling your blog and feed that hog. This is the Kickoff special presentation, and here we go. I am so happy you're here and part of this blog blinging journey. So thank you for joining, or please join, depending on if you're seeing this in another respect, how to bling your blog and feed that hog. Because your business blog transformation and learning journey will help you to make your blog property a connection to your audience, and will help you grow awareness and gain clients or business. And that is why your business blog is so important. So hop on the Blog Transformation Highway. Thank you for the ticket purchase to join us, and I can't wait to get started. So the point of this presentation and kickoff is to give you an overview of where we're heading, and also to look a little bit deeper at where we are and where we've started with the modules that you currently have available as you enter the Blog Transformation Highway. And of course, we started at Overlook Point for a hog's eye view and a look at the bigger picture, because we really have to think about what our blog has as a purpose. Why are we blogging? What is the business that your blog supports? Maybe your blogging is a business, or maybe your blog is the content hub and center of activity for your business website, no matter what kind of business you have. Either way, it's so important that you understand why you're blogging and what you're trying to achieve through your blog. If you cannot align your blog and your business goals, you won't be able to reach them. So it's good to take a hog's eye view, wouldn't you say? And again, this is where we're looking at the mission, vision, and values of our company. What is it that we're about? What do we do? Who are we? Who are we serving? Who is the target market or our ideal client? And why do we deserve their business? Why us and not anyone else that's out there offering similar products or services? So we need to really hone in on what it is that drives our business, what we're trying to accomplish with that business. What vision do we have for that business in terms of goals and results? And when we look at all these things and we hone in on understanding who we are, because if we don't understand who we are, no one else will. And if we don't know who we serve, how will we target and reach those people? And why are we special? What makes us different? What are our unique points about us that makes us one and only to offer what we do? So out of all this should come your brand story or story brand. I forget which way, but this comes from Donald Miller. And it's an excellent book, Story Brand or Brand Story, whichever. But the point is that you want to have a singular communication that lets people know, all stakeholders, internal and external, what it is you're all about. If you don't understand what you're about, how will your employees or subcontractors understand who are supposed to support you with their services and supplies? And how will your customers understand you if you don't have this part down pat? And that's why it's so important to take a look at all this stuff. And we are going to do that. And I've started to give you some of the resources to look into that and to think about that and to, give you some guides for like worksheets and stuff for how to do this stuff. But you're really trying to hone in on your own core competencies. You need to take a look at what you do best and understand what you do best and turn that into a way to differentiate yourself. And you can differentiate yourself by your product or services or process even. In other words, if you have a process for brewing beer and you use a specific ingredient or type of industrial process that no one else is using, that could be what differentiates you from all the other beer makers. Maybe you have the special water from the mountains in Seattle, like Olympia Beer does, for example. But think about it. Think about what it is that makes you stand out. Now, keep in mind that your customers will help you understand your differentiation. They'll tell you what you do better or worse than other people, what they like about you, what services they purchase or products. You'll learn to understand how you differentiate by what customers and clients tell you. And that's a good thing to remember, to listen and keep evolving, because a lot of times, especially if you're starting out, it's not so clear to you, but it will be to the people that you serve, and they'll help let you know. And your unique value proposition or unique sales proposition, either way, whether it's a value proposition or a sales proposition, it's still looking at the components of branding, positioning, and learning the talk points that support that brand story or story brand that we just talked about. That unique, differentiating statement of communication that expresses you to the world. So I like kind of having UVP and USP because you might have a value proposition. In fact, you should. That's part of, understanding what your differentiation is in the marketplace. And it does contribute to branding, positioning, and so forth. But you might also have a unique selling proposition. And that could be for a different line of services or products. You could have a USP that varies by the divisions, the products, the services that you offer. But your unique value proposition is kind of more an overview, a framework to work within. So these are really good things to hone in on and understand. You want to think about whether you want to be specializing in anything or whether you're a generalist. If you're curious and ask questions and can learn, you can be a generalist, but in terms of getting off the ground and finding a market, sometimes niching is the best way to go about it. So, and then you expand out. So you want to be real specific about what it is you do and who you do it for. And then as you get better and add skills and expand your services, you may serve different segments or different niches, and you may have multiple customer bases, so you may need to address multiple platforms to reach different customer bases. And so some of that stuff needs to be kind of in play and something you think about at the beginning and helping you to understand yourself. So if you are in one area in specific and people understand that about you, that becomes what you're known for, and then it becomes easier to build your customer base. And that's why niching is so important. So that's one way to go about it and really help you hone in on what it is you do. For me, I started with writing explicitly. But then I learned that in web content creation, you need to expand from that and reach out in other ways and on different platforms in order to actually support and further the reach of your writing. So the other things that I do all support that same key niche, even though I'm expanding into various areas with what I do with media and production. And then about the target market, I gave you a few different worksheets to look at to use as ideas for identifying your who. I talked about avatars and I talked about your ICA or your ideal client avatar. And I also put an extra worksheet in the Facebook group for you. And we also talked about SWOT analysis in the opening kickoff. And that's understanding not only your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats from an internal perspective, but it also takes you externally to look at competition, to look at the market and the marketplace, and to understand where you fit in the bigger market, in the industry, in your field. And that helps you also to understand your core competencies, your unique value proposition, where you can specialize and stand out, and where your audience is. So all of this is really important when you get that blog's eye view. Oh, yeah, that the hog's eye view. So this is again the things that we're really looking at the beginning right now. And so these are things to remember. We're also going to go further in and develop a blog content strategy, but we're going to look first at the anatomy of your blog hog. What makes up your blog in terms of the kind of resource-rich content hub that you will produce? What will be the content behind that content hub? And there's a lot to this. There's things like evergreen content. We're going to look at things like the types and purpose of blog content. We're going to look at unique formulas for deciding on that mix that you're going to want to have. We're going to look at media mix and editorial strategy. We're going to look at the core site structure and key pages for your website and your blog so that we understand things like what is your foundational content? What is your pillar content? How do you create user experiences that matter and that connect with people? So when you hone in on and look at blog content, key ingredients, the media mix and strategy, the core structure and pages, and when you get a grip on your foundational and pillar content from which you will be building, then you will understand this last thing and come up with pretty easily from looking at all of the above, you will easily slide into your biz blog strategy and goals from that point. So it's important that you find clarity. And to point this out, I bring to you a quote from Ann Handley, who was the first ever content marketing officer. And she says that it's important to slow down our marketing to get the basics right, like developing a documented content strategy. And yes, she did say documented, and we'll talk more about that. What is documented? How far out do you need to document? And why do you want to write things down to keep yourself on track? And she talks about like doing the required resource search, like developing robust, non-one-dimensional flat Stanley buyer personas. One reason why I give you so many choices to look at. And like articulating your bigger story, like I just talked about with Donald Miller's theory on that. And like investing in quality, excellent writing and editing, because even an editor needs an editor, as I always say, and storytelling. And the reason that I give you this quote is that I want you to honestly take a minute here and think about clarity and intentional work. Get intentional with your strategy moving forward in how you produce your blog, how you create the content, and how you work in the framework of not only your content framework and editorial framework, but in a bigger framework like your content marketing framework, your marketing framework, and relating it all, most importantly, to your business and what you're looking for. So we're going to put together all these things. We're going to try to understand the core business. We're going to try to relate the content strategy and the site structure to that core business so that everything makes sense in a strategic way with what you're trying to do. Because if you don't have direction, if you don't set goals, and if you don't understand what you're trying to do with your content, then you're just muddling around and you're not really reaching any goals and results that you're trying to reach. So we're going to look at the mechanics and the techniques. We're going to really study key categories. We're going to again go at those pillar and cornerstone content pieces and understand evergreen assets. We're going to look at content design to make these things work properly with your site structure. So we're going to look at content clusters, silos, and pyramids. What are they? What makes them the same or different? What about user experience? How do you make that happen? And we're going to talk about one of my favorite funny subjects. I laugh at it. I call it SEO, or you might know it as SEO, or search engine optimization, or search engine results page, or SERP, which is what you're going for in working with SEO. And I'll talk to you more about that because there are a lot of different viewpoints on SEO. And of course, as a writer, a blog content creator, it's important that you know and understand this. But there's also some other positions I'd like to take, and we'll get into that deeper coming up. So again, I think even from an SEO standpoint, what you're really after, and with your content as well, is this key ingredient. We're looking at engagement, which means presenting a user experience. So if you solve for user intent, if you offer helpful and up-to-date and desired content around your topic or industry, guess what? You're on your way to making Google and everyone else happy. So I write for people, and I find that Google follows you when you write for people first, because if people like your content, if your content is getting shares and engagement and comments and notice, then Google also will notice you because all those things are part of the context of your content. So we're going to look at how to improve that expertise, that authority, and that trust level that you offer. We're going to look at that documented content strategy and how to go about that. Some people do that more detailed. Some people do that almost in the form of an outline. Some people do it on a month-to-month basis or a week-to-week basis or a quarterly basis. But we want to give ourselves some kind of guideline in our content and our blog, which, sometimes it takes a while to get on track with doing something like that. I know myself and even some of my pro blogging and writing and copy writing pals look at this in different ways. And so it's interesting to think about it and decide what works for you. We're going to look at storytelling and KPIs, editorial plans, your unique value proposition, and how you create your branding. And most importantly, how you find your voice. And sometimes that takes a minute, but that's okay. When we visit Porgy Park, we're going to look at all kinds of stuff. So that we really are going to be doing a study of that anatomy of the blog. We're going to take that microscopic view. We're going to get that skeletal x-ray in order to find clarity in our blog. We're going to muddle around if it takes a little muddling, because nobody's going to have the same exact pathway to their success. But we're going to look at benchmarks and best practices and mechanics and techniques to achieve those things. And all of that is going to be very important. But where does your blog and content live? So we're going to take a look at your website, because that is where your blog lives. We're going to look at the main website pages, because if those aren't set up correctly, no one's going to make it over to your blog. If your homepage doesn't do its job and invite people in, they may never get to your blog. If your about page doesn't and your services page don't optimize things in order to have people want to engage with you and do business with you, your blog is at a disadvantage. So all of these components are part of your blog content strategy. So we're going to drill down on that valuable asset of your blog content hub and your blog. But we're going to start with remembering that your blog's home is on your website. So we're going to take a look at that. I think that's important for us. And I think that's something that some of the pages are pages that we all struggle with. And not only do we struggle with them, but we need to revisit them and continue to improve them over time. We don't want to get complacent like we do, all of us, because we're so busy with clients and projects and so forth. So this is good, because I think there's going to be some pages that I'm going to want to look at as well to optimize, so that my blog can do a better job at what it's doing, because everything else surrounding it all leads in the same direction. So we'll be taking a stop at Pages Pit Stop, because that's going to be the time where we roll up our blogging sleeves, we get daddy, as I like to say, daddy. And we're going to look at worksheets, checklists. I have some things in there that give you things to do to get these answers and to conclude what you need, so that you have the right things in place going forward. And we'll look at some editorial planning guides, and we'll work from some working plans. We'll talk about action stacks like my friend Chris Brogan likes to use. We'll talk about batching systems and if and when they can work for you. And we'll even get into some brand and content templates. We are really after creating that business activity hub that lets you stay top of mind with people, that helps you grow your reputation and helps you get in front of the business opportunities that you're seeking. And it drives traffic not to your blog, not to your website, but to your business, because that's the end result that we're all looking for. We all want to create more business for ourselves through our blog. And so that's the most important thing that you're trying to accomplish. And that's why it's so important that you make sure your blog and your website align with your bigger business. And that's why I present this information to you kind of the way that I do. I want you to stop and take time and look at all of the stuff that you need to think about and kind of have an outline or a strategy in mind in order to move forward and to properly run your blog, getting your content out and into the world. So we're going to talk about amplification, distribution, and how that equals awareness. And we're going to look at different ways to do that. We're going to look at the job, the big job of your blog, the content purpose, and the social strategy that supports that content purpose to take it beyond awareness, to gain an audience and to gain action that you want. So some of the improvements that we hope to achieve, we'll use goals, we'll use KPIs, we'll learn to measure, analyze, and implement based on what we learn. So it's beyond just getting your social media going, and it's beyond having a good blog, a good strategy, and good content. It's about amplifying and distributing it to the world. So we're going to look at social media marketing as part of this blog blinging journey, because you can write all the fabulous content you want, but if no one discovers it, then what good is it doing you as far as gaining you any business? Honestly, it's not. So for me, I didn't want to do social media, but I had a mentor who advised that if I'm a writer, that's the only way to get people to notice anything I write, is to get it out there and put it out there, amplify and distribute through social media. So I say you should do social media, but you should start with a single platform. Again, the same as with your blog. Choose your platform, choose your media, whether it be writing or audio or video, and then work out from there. Now, with social media marketing and social marketing, I like the hippie marketing guys, 3 C's of marketing. If you think about on that single channel even that you're going to really get great at before you expand out and then get great at it on all the channels you select to use, you're going to stick with these 3 C's of marketing. You're going to use social media to showcase things you create. Also, things that you curate that fit your topic and field. And you're going to have to communicate. So what that means is automation is not autopilot. So you can show what you create. You can curate things by using software to automate some of your social media marketing tasks, which at first I didn't think was a good idea, but now I do as I learn and grow. But if you're not getting on there and actually engaging and communicating, you might as well not do it at all, because it's so important that with social media marketing, you are out there interacting with people. They're going to like you if they get to know you. They're going to get to know you if you talk to them and if you engage with them. The 80-20 rule is something that I like to turn upside down occasionally, because I don't think it's all 80% social media, especially if you're just starting out. You need to have content. You need to create content. So for me, I spend 80% of the time creating content and only 20% of the time promoting, which is actually opposite of what you'll hear often. But until you have some content assets to work with, you need to create content. So we'll think about not only what works for us, but what are the benchmarks and ideas and ways other people do it. We'll each find our own unique way of doing it, our own gem for blog Bling in a unique way. But how you find that is by listening to other people and trying things until you get to the point where you find an audience and clients who love you. Because when that happens, you get a lot more on target. You can become a lot less involved with the work of some of it, because what happens is people start finding you. Instead of you just amplifying your content and you talking about your content, you now have a lot of other people also talking about your content, and your content and your blog turn from connecting and engaging from the inside out to the outside in. In other words, people are attracted to you. You don't have to go out and market. Your marketing, your blog, a key to your content marketing is attracting awareness and business for you. In other words, you are creating inbound marketing where people are seeking you out. And so we'll look at the 80-20 and turn it around in a couple different ways that might be unique and different in the way that you do things. So again, there is a whole lot to do to create a blog that people love and that you love as well. But we're going to do it, and we're going to work together to do it, because we want to take your blog all the way to Blog Hog Heaven. So thanks for tuning in to this first kickoff presentation. Thank you for being here, and I can't wait to really jump in and get going on more about the course and work with you in the course to create better blogs for each of you. Thank you again for being here. Talk soon.